Welcome once again to Lakeside Park Raceway for our continued Round 3 coverage of the Hi-Tec Oils Australian FX-Superbike Championship. Conditions here at the iconic Brisbane venue have been glorious all weekend long, and that in turn has produced some really exciting racing from both superbikes and the Supersport categories. We now turn our attention to our major support classes, and we kick things off with the Shock Treatment 400 Supersports. Heading into this penultimate round of the 2018 season, Keogh Watson is the man to beat after strong showings at Sydney Motorsport Park and Queensland Raceway. Mitchell Kuhn in turn still remains in touch in second place, with Andrew Edzer currently in third place, 100 points adrift of Watson. Watson and Kuhn come into this weekend with their own set of hurdles that they've faced, and Becky Lamb caught up with the championship rivals heading into round 3.
We had a bit of clutch trouble in the second race, so I just had to try limp the bike around to get it back. So managed to keep in 6th, which was a bit disappointing, but yeah, we'll manage to get out there for the third one again and win that by slimmest of margins over Kyle, which was great fun, but yeah, it was good to get back out there. Lakeside's a bit hard to overtake in places, so it creates really good racing just because of how fast and flowing it is. But then like Kyle's really deep under brakes, so it's hard to sort of get in front and break away and get that gap. But yeah, we were both riding really hard yesterday. Like we were 1.2 seconds under the old lap record, which was pretty happy with that. So.
Yeah, a few weeks ago out at Winton, coming around one of the corners, one of the bikes were already on the ground, and I was committed to overtake someone I didn't see because he was in front of me, and come around, hit that bike front on, flipped over the front. Got the bike as good as we can, and it's still real bent up, so it's not feeling the best out there and real shaky, but yeah, it was a big one. Physically, I was perfectly fine. Like, I got back up, got the spare bike, started putting all that together for the next race, got out there, did the next 2 races, and everything like that. Like, it's racing incident, you know, it's part of racing, and out there, give it our best shot and do what we can. You know, the spare bike was playing up last week at Morgan Park, so I've stripped all that, put it into this bike, got here last second, and as I pull it off the trailer, one of the other guys noticed it's all bent, and what do we do? So we've done as much as we can. It doesn't feel the best, but we're riding through it and making small changes each race.
The 400 Supersports got things underway with race 1 on Sunday morning. Despite the clutch problems that plagued him on Saturday, Keogh Watson got away to a clean start aboard his KTM as he headed Mitchell Kuhn, Kyle O'Connell, Cody Van Bergen and Jason Whitehead towards the Matrice Dampers carousel. Whilst all this was happening, Andrew Edzer was attempting to split through the middle of his rivals, having started the race from the second row of the grid. O'Connell had managed to work his way up to second halfway through the opening laps and quickly tagged onto the back of the KTM, using the slipstream to pull out behind Watson and take the lead along the Hi-Tec Oils main straight. Whilst O'Connell and Watson battled for the lead, the battle for third place was just as intense, as Andrew Edzer and Cody Van Bergen racing almost side by side during the second lap. Behind the pair, Mitchell Kuhn would suffer a missed gear and, dropping out of the battling pack, would eventually recover to continue in 6th position. Edzer and Van Bergen would break away from the front-running pack to continue their epic fight for third, a fight that would set the pattern for the remainder of the weekend between the pair. Despite swapping positions a number of times during the race, not once did they touch handlebars. Eventually they caught up to Watson's KTM as his clutch started to falter in the final few laps. Watson did everything possible to fend off Edzer, Van Bergen and Jason Whitehead, but was helpless to do anything as he fell back down the field to 6th place, opting to conserve his bike for the remainder of the race. This allowed O'Connell to race on unchallenged and en route to a well-deserved win in the Sunday program. Edzer just held on to finish second ahead of Jason Whitehead, who pipped Van Bergen right on the finish line to take the final podium position.
So Kyle O'Connell will start on pole ahead of Andrew Edzer and Jason Whitehead, sharing the front row of the grid. Row 2 will be Cody Van Bergen, Keogh Watson and Mitch Kuhn. Grant Jordan, Brendan Watson and Hayden Stiff will be on the 3rd row. Damien Langfield, Jack Pemberton and Jacob Hatch on row number 4. Our 5th row sees Kurt Johns, Robert Penman and Craig White, with Cam Shaw, Eric Wadling and Andy Stay completing our 6th and final row of the grid.
It's going to be an interesting affair. Are the clutch problems in order for Keogh Watson? We are about to find out.
Well, look out for Cody Van Bergen. He's been a good starter all weekend long so far. Underway, getting a little bit of air under the front wheel there was Mitch Kuhn. He's managed to be able to do it, but it looks like it's Kyle O'Connell that's made every poster winner in the early stages. Here comes Keogh Watson up the inside. He's in third place. I think you'll find it's Van Bergen that's up into second, but it's all about Kyle O'Connell leading them out of the carousel up towards the bus stop for lap 1 of 8.
Watson up there on the outside going into the bus stop is trying to find his way through into third spot and has done just that.
Yes.
So the pressure is already being applied by Keogh Watson up there behind Andrew Edzer on the one down by Taggled to Racetech for the first time. But O'Connell, as you'd expect him to do, took the lead off the start.
Cody Van Bergen back there in fourth placing as they head down through Racetech for the run up towards Races.World. Here comes Keogh Watson trying to get around the outside, the high, wide and handsome side. There's no room for the faint-hearted. Treading only where angels fear to dare. On the outside for the run down Dunlop. Onto the main straight, the Hi-Tec Oils main straight, and you can see already O'Connell, he's nervous. He knows Watson is there. He knows that he's got the horsepower. He knows he's probably got that clutch fixed up, and as you can see there, he managed to get past him and take up the running.
And hold it into the carousel for Matrice Dampers as well. So Keogh Watson from 5th to 1st in just 2.41 kilometres of this Lakeside Park layout. Fantastic stuff, but O'Connell's not going to give up without a fight. You can guarantee that.
Well, assuming the fact that they've overcome the mechanical problems, you could expect Keogh Watson perhaps to draw away little by little. Clean air in front of him. All of the racetrack in front of him to be able to use, and with the horsepower of that KTM, the punch that it's got out of the corners, he may well be able to dominate this 5th race of the weekend.
Maybe indeed, and then go on and hopefully dominate the 6th for his sake. Anyway, as far as his championship aspirations are concerned, out of Races.World and down the hill to complete lap 2 of 8.
One thing that I must make note of with Keogh Watson is the fact that his maturity has grown over the period of time that he's put his leg over a bike since the first time that I saw him on a motorcycle at Sydney Motorsport Park. And that's a legacy of the upbringing that he's got, the guidance that he's getting from his father, the experience, of course, the family affair behind the scenes that helps nurture that sort of thing. And what I'm trying to say is he knew that he didn't have to go out there and bust his backside and try and win every race. He knew he had some mechanical dramas, and he knew he just had to nurse that bike home, get as many points as he can, rectify the problem in between races, and he's reaping the benefits of all of that now with a race lead.
He certainly is. Just having a look on screen here, the battle between Whitehead and Kuhn, 5th and 6th, I do believe we're looking at there. The green bike of Whitehead. Back to the leaders, though, and it's Watson leading O'Connell 2nd, then Edzer and Van Bergen. Then that battle of Whitehead and Kuhn. So Kuhn's lost a little bit of ground. Whitehead's lost 2 spots since the start of this race.
Unfortunately, from a spectator's point of view, it's not quite as close as what we used to with the Supersport 400s at this stage. And I think that's, again, a legacy of the lateness of the day, the change in weather conditions. We've got the wind coming up on the main straight now, the Hi-Tec Oils main straight. And you can see that the early battles with each other, apart from this battle, as you mentioned, between the 54 of Whitehead and the 58 of Kuhn, that's about the closest battle that we can see on screen at the moment, and that is for 5th and 6th placing respectively.
Certainly is. Out of Bike Biz, they'll go into the AGV bus stop. We continue to watch that battle for 5th. That's the gap that's separating 1st and 6th, folks. You saw it there on your screen momentarily. It's only 5.2 seconds, but around here, 5.2 seconds, it may as well be 52.9 seconds. It's a long way to crawl back, or claw back, I should say, as you've only got 8 laps to do it.
The average lap speed around here, or time, or in terms of speed, is around the 130 kilometre an hour mark, and that's not bad. That means you're averaging 130 kilometres an hour in every single corner of this racetrack. Of course, the bus stop being the slowest area of the circuit, and of course the Hi-Tec Oils main straight being the fastest. So when you add one against the other, 130 kilometres an hour, that's not too shabby on a 400, is it?
Not at all. And of course, when you look at the fact that they're only, what, 5.5, 5 3/4 seconds slower than the fastest bike of the weekend, it's equally as impressive. But that comes with different bikes have different brake markers and accelerator markers depending upon how much speed you've got to wash off in various points of the circuit.
Kyle O'Connell coming on very strongly. Oh, looks like we've got Keogh Watson down, unfortunately, on the entrance to the bus stop by the looks of that. It is Watson, I'm pretty sure of it. Oh, man, I may well be mistaken, but this may well be his first time that he's fallen off in a national series. He's come into the bus stop and he's just lost the front end. Unfortunately for him there, we can see on the replay. Bad luck for Keogh Watson, a lesson learnt there for him, maybe pushing a little bit hard. I was making mention at that time when he came off, Zach, that Kyle O'Connell was coming on very strongly and started to apply the pressure, and unfortunately he succumbed to that.
And have a look at Edser on the outside under pressure from Bergen, and Bergen gets the job done, and that is now for second in the motor race. So Van Bergen to second, and knocking Edser back to third spot, who had a look over his shoulder to see if there was anyone following, but he's got clear and comfort space now.
Well, O'Connell and Edser, I've got to make note, they're the only two riders in the field that I've noticed that continually look over their shoulder all the time. They need to learn to concentrate in what's in front of them, use their peripheral vision and also their hearing about what's happening behind them. They don't need to waste the time or the energy on looking over their shoulder, especially in a small bore class like this, where corner speed is of paramount importance. There's Keogh Watson, unfortunately pushing his bike back to the pits. Here's this battle for second place, side by side, rubbing shoulders through the king at the end of the Hi-Tec Oils main straight. I think you'll find it is Van Bergen that's on the outside, Edser on the inside. Edser gets the run up through bikebiz.com.au, entering into the AGV bus stop, and he's just in front at the moment, but not for long. Look at the different lines. You can see the unbalanced nature of both bikes. These riders are right on the limits at the moment.
And rightly so. I mean, they're fighting for second in the motor race. Here's Van Bergen now. Got a great run out of the bus stop. Fancies his chances on the inside. Got the job done on Edser as they head into Race Tech Hungary corner. These Supersports keep turning it on. It doesn't matter whether it's a two-way battle or a six-way battle. At the moment, the battle for second is captivating everyone's attention as they make their way out of races.world. Down Dunlop once more. Back to the line. Last lap board in the air.
And it's a matter of concentration plus here, especially for Edser back in third place. Van Bergen leads them, but not for long because Edser's lining him up. He's closer, he's in the slipstream. He went to the left, he went to the right. He needs to be on the outside through the king to get the run up under the braking area into the carousel. He manages to do that, but Van Bergen on the outside, he's not going to give it up without a fight. Up the bikebiz.com.au rise, heading into the AGV bus stop for the final time. This battle will go right down to the checkered flag.
It certainly will. Edser's got his nose in front at the moment, but Van Bergen, if he can get a good run at the bus stop again, he'll have another look going into Hungary. Maybe a little bit too far back just at the moment, but watch the slipstream when they come back to the main straight, Lance. In the meantime, Kyle O'Connell's out to 5.07 second lead. No one's beating him at this stage.
Yeah, he's not even in camera shot there as they head out of Race Tech up towards races.world. This is the battle for second and third. As Zach mentioned, Kyle O'Connell, he's a clear-cut leader. He's going to win this race by an unsurmountable effort. He comes across the line now, greets the checkered flag. There it is for him. Here comes this battle at the moment. It's Van Bergen, Edser. Edser goes to the outside. Oh, they've almost touched each other as they went across the line. I think you'll find Van Bergen went to the left and then went to the right. Edser thought he was on the left and found that he was on the right, but Edser gets second, Van Bergen in third.
By 0.11 of a second. How good was that? Fourth spot to Kuhn, fifth to Whitehead, sixth to Jordan just crossing the line there. Pemberton got seventh, Brendan Watson eighth, and then Stiff in ninth.
Yeah, it was great to come away with another win. Bit of a shame about Keogh going down. I think a bit uncharacteristic of him, mechanical into the bus stop, but happy with another first. Hopefully he can get back out there and I can try and hold on to him again. He's very fast. I'm just happy to be able to come away with another first.
With Keogh Watson's KTM faring worse off after his crash in race 2, the series leader jumped aboard his backup bike for the third and final race of the weekend as he tried to salvage a horror weekend. As in previous races, it was O'Connell who got the jump off the line. But getting an even bigger jump was Edza aboard his Kawasaki as he rubbed wheels with O'Connell at the kink approaching the Matrice Dampers carousel. O'Connell would eventually clear ahead of Edza and slowly build a comfortable gap over his rivals. Edza tried to keep in touch with the Yamaha, but was unable to shake off the likes of Kuhn, Van Bergen and Whitehead as they battled ferociously for the final 2 places on the podium. For much of the race, Edza held on to second place aboard his Kawasaki, with Kuhn and Van Bergen keeping in close company whilst continuing their own battle for third. That wasn't until Kuhn chose to strike for second at half-race distance as he slipstreamed past Edza along the Hi-Tec Oil's main straight. This commenced an epic fight between the pair in the remaining laps of the race, swapping positions a number of times. As the battle for second raged on, O'Connell opened up a 6-second margin as he cruised his way to a clean sweep of wins this weekend. Kuhn managed to edge in front of the battle to take out second place on the line. Edza fended off a fast-finishing Van Bergen to take the final podium spot. Watson salvaged 6th position as he kept his championship hopes alive heading into the final round.
Finishing with that 10-second lead at the start was pretty incredible. I had no idea that they were that far behind, but a big shout out to those boys. They're all dicing and letting me get further and further away from them, but it's been really good fun.
So Kyle O'Connell has every reason to be happy as he comes away from Lakeside Park with a bag of wins against some pretty hot competition. After the break, we bring you all the action from the standalone races for the Stars of Tomorrow and the AmSport 600s. Welcome back to Lakeside Park as we continue our Round 3 coverage of the Hi-Tec Oils Australian FX-Superbike Championship. We now move on to the Stars of Tomorrow standalone race for C and D grade riders. This initiative was introduced a few seasons ago to allow up-and-coming riders a platform to race at a national level against fellow riders, whilst allowing them extra race time. So let's have a look at the grid for this 8-lap race.
Well, our pole sitter is Ben Lowe, and alongside of him on the front row will be Chester Robinson and Wayne Williams, Mark McGregor, Mike Fairley and Roger Berman on row 2, Andrew Edza, Matt Cartelloni, if he's been able to fix a problem with his bike, will start alongside Matt Franco on row 3. Row 4, Hamish McMurray, Lee Appleby, Wayne Town. Then we have Lee Duffy, Grant Stokes and Mick Train sharing the 5th row. The 6th and final row, Noel Mahone, Di Jones and Owen Pescini. 8-lap duration, C and D grade Stars of Tomorrow. Will Ben Lowe be able to capitalise on the pole position that he's been given? Looks like a fairly average start. Getting the best was Wayne Williams on the inside on board machine number 94. Also getting a good start was Chester Robinson on the 14. But look at that, swooping around the outside is Ben Lowe, capitalising on that pole position, getting the whole shot and leading the field through Matrice Dampers and up over bikebiz.com.au.
They make the way towards the AGV bus stop for the first time. 8 laps the journey, their only standalone race this weekend. Of course, normally they have one both Saturday and Sunday, but this is the only C&D Grade Stars of Tomorrow fixture for this round of the Hi-Tec Oils Australian FX-Superbike Championship. On their rundown, bikehaggle.com.au for the first time.
Oh, I don't know who that was, but got a real wriggle on as they exited the AGV bus stop and gave himself a bit of a fright on the rundown through bikehaggle.com.au. It may well have been, I think, no, I'm not even going to speculate. I don't want to embarrass him or myself.
I was going to say, you don't really want to be going out there if you're going to get a fright from a little moment like that, because this is the sport of very brave souls, I'll put it that way. There's other ways you could put it, but no, very brave, these guys, so I wouldn't think there'd be, I think it'd be a very small fear factor for them.
Well, Lowe it is that leads ahead of Williams, Franco, McMurray, McGregor, Stokes, Pescini, Appleby, Fairley and Duffy rounding up your top 10 as our race leader heads through the AGV bus stop and negotiates the exit and the rundown through bikehaggle.com.au. Doing a good job, a fairly handy lead. It was only 0.2 of a second across the line, but it's further than that now as they exit Racetech for the run up through races.world and ready to come down through Dunlop downhill. The entrance onto the Hi-Tec Oils main straight. You can see that Lowe there gets the power down to the ground fairly quickly. A good battle for 3rd and 4th between Franco and Hamish McMurray.
across the line they'll go. 2 laps gone. Low, Williams 0.2 of a second, the margin there. 101.5 for Williams' fastest lap of the race. We're looking at this battle between McGregor, Franco and McMurray as well. Stokes in 6th spot, Appleby, Puccini, Duffy and Fairley.
Yeah, McMurray called in 4th place, but he dropped off the pace a little bit there. Franco got the better of him. So as you rightly called, Franco was in 4th and McMurray in 5th, not the way I called it earlier.
Have a look at this. Different lines again being taken on the exit of Hungary up into races.world, but it's the one line out of there, and the slipstream factor for Williams will be a part and parcel of whether he can get this job done on the main straight. Good run out of Dunlop onto Hi-Tec Oils.
Yeah, it looks like Ben Lowe, as he looks over his left shoulder, has the upper hand, or he did, until Wayne Williams swooped up the inside of him. So you could see why Ben Lowe was worried about it. Oh, look at that. Lowe goes a little bit up the inside of Wayne Williams, who maybe got the exit of Hi-Tec Oils. That little kink at the end of the straight, that bump that we've talked about, can throw you offline on the entrance to the carousel, and that was a graphic description of it there.
Maybe it was just a little bit early on the brakes as well. That could have been another factor because yeah, Lowe just came from nowhere there and made the passing manoeuvre. So we've worked out 2 things. Slipstreaming is important, and where you brake is equally as important here at Lakeside Park. Up through Eastern Loop once more.
There's one third factor involved in all of that you didn't mention, how big your kahunas are.
Yes, exactly. I didn't want to go there. I wasn't sure if we could go there, but yes, you've gone there, so that's all right. Williams.
I think everybody knows what we mean, put it that way.
Low leads. Williams second. Again, the slipstream for Williams there. We're having a look back here at the rider in 6th position now, I do believe, as we go back to our leaders there. The rider in 6th, incidentally, is Stokes, just coming across the line as our leaders exit the Matrice Dampers carousel. Low with breathing space over Williams after a little bit of a fright from Williams a little bit earlier on. I don't know if Lowe would have been expecting him to just ease on by in the slipstream the way he did. But as we said, different lines for both of them going up through Hungary, out of the Eastern Loop, line astern, all the way down the main straight, and then that slipstream that's vitally important.
Well, when they crossed the strike line, it was 0.25 of a second gap between the two of them. It's opened up a little bit there. It seems to be coming backwards and forwards like the proverbial yo-yo, up and down its string. But Ben Lowe it is that's leading Wayne Williams at the moment, with McGregor in 3rd place. 4th place is McMurray, Franco in 5th. So 3rd, 4th and 5th is not over and done with yet. Stokes in 6th, Appleby 7th, P8 is Puccini. Then we have Duffy in 9th and Fairley rounding up the top 10.
Just past half race distance now as we watch this battle over the top of the hill between, I believe it's Appleby and Puccini there, 7th and 8th. Or is it Duffy and Fairley, actually, 9th and 10th? It is indeed. Onto the main straight they'll come. So even at the back of the field, Lance, the battles are continuing, which is really good to see. Across the line we go. Another lap in the books. Puccini and Duffy across the line. Puccini holding on at the moment over Duffy, but by no means comfortable, I will say that, because there are still 3 laps to go here and plenty of overtaking opportunities in 3 laps. There's not plenty in 1 lap, but when you start to add up 3 overtaking opportunities a lap, here's a chance now.
Yeah, certainly tries to get the run around the outside on the exit of the carousel up into bikebiz.com.au through the AGV bus stop, though. Has to back off a little bit as our race leader comes across the line to complete lap 6 of 8, so 2 to go, but he's under all sorts of pressure now. Ben Lowe from Wayne Williams. Williams poked his nose momentarily up the inside of Lowe. They have remarkably different racing lines on the exit of the Hi-Tec Oils main straight through that little kink in the bump there. They seem to take different lines, and that's to the advantage of one, the disadvantage of another. But then in this 3rd sector, if you like, of the race track, you'll find that Wayne Williams is a lot better off than Ben Lowe.
Yeah, absolutely. However, it's Lowe that has that momentum at the moment. So even though Williams is better in this back half, it's Lowe that has the ascendancy and is really just easing his way towards the finishing line here and maintaining that little buffer of 0.3 of a second. Williams does have the fastest lap of the race though, Lance, 101.29 3.5 as they come to what should be the last lap board this time by. There it is on the rider's screen. You can see it as they cross the start line and head through the Hi-Tec Oils kink up towards Matrice Dampers for the final time. So Lowe, Williams, breathing space, and if Williams was ever to get the job done at the bus stop, for instance, he'd have to have it done, I reckon, from what we've seen earlier today, by the braking marker.
Well, he seems to have a better top-end speed through the kink, the faster left-hander at the end of the straight, but unfortunately he doesn't seem to have the setup and the horsepower on the rise out of the carousel and up into the bus stop.
Exactly.
You can see that there, that he's lost a little bit of ground when he was right up onto the rear cowling of Ben Lowe earlier on. Now he gets good drive out of Hungary up towards the eastern loop, but again he'll lose out when he comes down through Dunlop and onto the main straight. This is the Stars of Tomorrow, the only time this weekend that they feature in a race. It's been 8 laps. It's been dominated primarily by Ben Lowe. He'll greet the checkered flag, only just ahead. No, he won't. Look at that. In the last bit, Wayne Williams takes it right on the line. Ben Lowe in second place, a lonely third for McGregor. Hamish McMurray, he'll probably come across the line in fourth. Yes, indeed, he does. Matt Franco will come over in fifth. Appleby sixth, Stokes in seventh. Puccini, Duffy and Fairley rounding up the 10 runners.
I'm very happy about that. I've been working hard all weekend to get quicker and quicker. Ben had me really. It's just his bike's not as fast as mine, I don't think, because yeah, I was lucky to get him at the end, really.
Well done to Wayne Williams, who snatched certain victory away from Ben Lowe right on the line. They'll be back later on as they partake in the race's World Formula Oz class. We now move on to the other standalone race that forms an integral part of the Hi-Tec Oils Australian FX-Superbike Championship, and that's for the AM Sport 600s. Eligibility is for the older spec Supersport machinery. This race also counts towards their championship standings, so finishing first really matters for these riders. So here's the field for this 8-lap race. The front row consists of Andrew Edzer, Dave Wilson and Grant Stokes, whilst on the second row we have Owen Puccini, Ryan Bolster and Noel Mahone. On row 3 we have Lee Duffy, Jason Brown and Peter Muston, and completing the field on row 4 is Chris Newton and Matthew Franco.
Andrew Edzer on the left-hand side of screen, all of the gold livery, gets a good start, but also there, it looked like Dave Wilson on the centre of the front row, and he's got the whole shot at this stage. But look at this one coming through from the back of the pack. I think you'll find that that may well have been Noel Mahone on board machine number 92 that takes up the running in third place.
Brilliant start as they make their way out of Matrice Dampers, up the Bike Biz rise and into the AGV bus stop for the first time. Bolster sitting back there in about 5th or 6th place at the moment, and Edzer has already lost the lead there, would you believe that? Edzer sitting back there in second spot. He was the form man coming into this race. Maybe the commentator's curse is biting him as well.
Maybe physical fatigue.
Possibly. He was only just out there, of course, for 400 Supersport, although he's already putting the pressure on the 16, of course, of Wilson, who's jumped up into the race lead.
Yeah, Dave Wilson has been there or thereabouts, mid-pack throughout the 600 races that we've seen so far, and it's not unlikely that he could end up taking this one out, but Ed's are now lining him up down the end of Hi-Tec Oils. Will he get the outside run down into the inside for Carousel? The answer is yes. Outbroke him, did Edzer over Wilson, relegating Wilson back to second. At least he led for 1 lap.
Yeah, exactly right. If only 1 lap for the whole weekend, at least you got to lead one. It wasn't a clean sweep for Edzer, who leads now from Wilson. It was actually Brian Bolster, not Noel Mahone, that jumped up into third spot, and Mahone in 4th on the 92. So 22 and 92 there. Easy to get mixed up, of course. Look at the gap that he's opened up in 1 lap, or less than 1 lap, considering he only took the lead up at the Carousel as they head down the Hi-Tec Oils main straight once more.
Well, look at the time, a 1:02.63 a second lap. That's the first of the flying laps. Considering that these bikes are much older than the pointy end of the field in the Matrice Dampers Supersports, it's not a bad effort. That sort of lap time is very, very competitive.
It's very respectable. And as we've been saying all weekend, we've been sort of clean slate with the lap time department because of the reconfigured bus stop section of the circuit. So all those old lap times that we took into consideration are practically out the window. But to still clock around here, 2.41 kilometres, 62 seconds. That's motoring along quite nicely as they head out of the races. World Eastern Loop once more.
Not too shabby at all. Down Dunlop, heading towards the Hi-Tec Oils main straight. Andrew Edzer, a clear-cut leader. It was 1.3 seconds last lap around. It's now 3.3 seconds. 2 seconds in one lap, my goodness me. Andy's just set his fastest lap of 102.3.
Yep, 62.3. So there's the possibility of a 61 yet. It would be a high 61, you would think. But at this point in time, with a 3.3 second lead, he can consolidate. He doesn't have to go at 100%. And in fact, one point that we haven't really made throughout the day, but we should make, is that this is not a 100% racetrack. If you go at 110, you end up in the dirt. If you go at 100, you end up in the dirt. This is a track that, because of its lack of, the lack of margin for error, it's one circuit that you've got to treat with respect. And if that means going at 95 or 90%, then so be it.
You've also got to consider where the sun is at the moment as well, late in the afternoon. That can play havoc as well down the end of the Hi-Tec Oils main straight, leading into the Matrice Dampers carousel, and up over the bikebiz.com.au rise is an extremely difficult part of this circuit late on a Sunday afternoon.
Certainly is, and of course they're heading into the sun, so they're heading to the western end of the circuit now, and where we are in our commentary vantage point is out looking towards the southern part of this magnificent venue. So lap 4 of 8, Edzer, Wilson, Bolster, Mahone at the moment. You're watching Bolster on your screen there on the 22 into the AGV bus stop once more.
Bolster's done a great job too, hasn't he? Because he started on row 2 in the middle, so he was in 5th, or our 5th fastest competitor, if you like. And in terms of the points for the overall series, the AM Sport B grade, C grade, D grade, Brian Bolster and Garth Graves in B grade respectively. We have Andrew Edzer leading the C grade, and understandably so. And Brian Bolster's also leading the outright as far as the AM Sport 600 is concerned.
And by a comfortable margin as well, Lance.
Yes.
By 120 points coming into this weekend. Edzer will have dipped into that a little bit, but not enough to have Bolster concerned going to Sydney Motorsport Park.
Well, the ProWorks Blaney motorcycle Penrite Kawasaki ZX6R of Andrew Edzer has been dominant in the AM Sport 600 series. And not only over previous rounds, but also here this weekend at Lakeside Park. He's on lap 6 of 8, so he's only got 2 to go. He'll come around and commence his penultimate lap. On board machine number 16 is Dave Wilson, the Yamaha R6, and he's situated in 2nd place at the moment. Brian Bolster on the 22, and that is the Sugar Plum Racing entry, another of the Yamahas that have been so successful here this weekend at Lakeside Park.
It's been interesting, depending upon the division, which manufacturer has reigned supreme. BMW, of course, with Dean Hasler, Yamaha have been up there, Suzuki, Ducati. It's been really good to see a wide range of manufacturers enjoying their time in the spotlight.
It certainly has been. This battle for 2nd and 3rd is not over and done with yet, Zach. Sorry, 3rd and 4th, I should say, between Brian Bolster and Mahone. Mahone trying very hard on that 92. Just doesn't quite seem to have the setup or the stability of the rider in front of him, Bolster.
Although he was 0.3 of a second faster on the last lap around. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah, Mahone for 4th and Bolster for 3rd. 0.4 of a second separating them. If you can knock another 0.3 off this time around, Bolster might come under pressure on the last lap of this race. There's our leader though. Look how well clear he is. 6.5 seconds, Andrew Edzer.
Well, about 6.5 kilometres to go in this one as they head around to, sorry, it's not even that, it's less than that, isn't it?
2.4 now.
Yeah, it's 2.4 now for our race leader. What I was trying to get at is there was a lap and a half basically for that battle for 3rd and 4th placing.
I knew where you were going. Don't worry about that. Edzer, Wilson, Bolster, Mahone and Brown. Have a look at that though. main straight. Mahone's just gone straight by out of the corner of our eyes there, but it's Edza well clear at the front of the field, but there has been a change for third, so we'll keep an eye on that as the lap unfolds. There they are on your screen now, going up and over the Matrice Dampers carousel. Bolster's managed to get Mahone back over through the carousel, but he'll be very mindful of the fact that Wilson's right there in front of them, so this battle is now for second, third and fourth, and he'll be mindful also, Bolster, that Mahone is right there and capable of striking in these final 3 corners.
How often have we seen this throughout the entire weekend, though, Zach? Latter stages, as our race leader, Andrew Ezra, is going to come down with nothing but a clean set of hands and heels. Well done to him.
So it's been a clean sweep for him this weekend in the AM Sports, and indeed he's dominated this standalone race. Second, third and fourth. Let's have a look at this now as they come towards the line. Mahone has a lunge, Bolster has a lunge, but in the end it's status quo. It's Wilson, Bolster and Mahone, second, third and fourth, and in the end 12 hundredths of a second separating those 3 at the end there. That's very good stuff, but Edza dominant, winning the race. Fantastic stuff, and Brown will come home in 5th.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with first place. Doesn't happen very often, but you know, it's been a really good weekend for us, and even yesterday, mixing it with all the Supersport guys, a few clutch issues today, but no, I'm really happy with how today's gone, and we can hold on and nurse to home, and stoked.
We still have more racing to come from Lakeside Park on the other side of this break, as we bring you all the action from the Racers World Formula Oz class. Thanks for your continued company here at Lakeside Park for round 3 of the Hi-Tec Oils Australian FX-Superbike Championship. We now move on to the Run What You Brung category, the Racers World Formula Oz class. Brett Harper has been the rider that everyone has been chasing in the championship so far this season. However, he is not attending this 3rd round, which allows the likes of Dean Hasler to bag some vital points as the final round fast approaches. One of the familiar faces taking part in Formula Oz is Di Jones, who is building more confidence at each round aboard her self-prepared Yamaha R1. Becky Lamb caught up with the Adelaide-born rider, asking how she caught the racing bug.
I got conned into going racing once upon a time over beer and pizzas, watching the Superbikes. We had a spare race bike in the garage at that stage and never went to jump on it, so I did, and found it was really easy. That was back in the days when we had women's racing. I won that series and then decided to go racing with the guys and got addicted, so here I am. Racing's one of those things where I don't get much time, I work really long hours, I'm away from home all the time, but I miss riding, and you get back out here and you realise how much you've forgotten and how unfit you are and how hard it is, but you try and get back out there and put your head down, and this weekend's been about just trying to reconsolidate, learn it again and try and smooth things out. Oh, look, this thing is a love-hate relationship. It's brutal, it's rough, it's aggressive, it's super quick, and I looked at changing to a Ducati, which is much easier to ride, but I love it. It's just angry. So that's the reason something about the power of them I'm addicted to.
Here are the highlights from the opening Sunday race in the Racers World Formula Oz category. Although Bart Wills had qualified on pole, he was a notable absentee as the rest of the field got underway with the Kawasaki of Mark Hatch clearing into the race lead, followed by the BMW of Dean Hasler. Hasler then used the superior power and torque of the BMW to round past Hatch on the outside of the Matrice Dampers carousel and take the lead. As Hasler and Hatch fought it out in the early stages of the race, the battle for third was already heating up as Wayne Williams, Ben Lowe and Chester Robinson fought it out for the final step of the podium. On lap 2, Robinson made his move as he bolted up from 5th to 3rd place in the space of 2 corners. He shot past Lowe's Yamaha along the Hi-Tec Oils main straight and then dive-bombed past the BMW-mounted Williams at the Matrice Dampers carousel. Williams would also lose 4th place to Lowe at the same corner and drop back to 5th. Lowe would return fire on Robinson at the same corner 1 lap later and reclaim 3rd spot. As the battle continued, Hasler and Hatch had broken away to have their own private race for the lead. But despite Hatch's best efforts, he couldn't reel in Hasler and the BMW as the latter held on to take out the opening race of the day. Behind Hasler and Hatch Lowe came through to finish third ahead of Robinson and Williams.
Race stop well for the rise out there for race 5 now. Run through the grid, please.
Yes, we have Dean Hasler, Mark Hatch and Ben Lowe on the front row, with Chester Robinson, Wayne Williams and Mark McGregor on row 2. Roger Berman, Jonathan Ward and Dwayne Town on the third row. Fourth row sees Lee Appleby, Simon Galloway and Ben Van Bergen share the duties, with Di Jones and Mike Fairley, your 13th and 14th final qualifier. Great overhead shot here of the start of this, the second of 3 races. World Formula Oz events, and it looks like Hasler has got the best of the start again, Zach. He's been pretty dominant. He's certainly got that start down pat. Side by side, 2, 4, 6, 3 rows of 2 going into Matrice Dampers for the first time.
A clean start all the way through, up into Bike Biz, and then of course into the AGV bus stop for the first time. Hasler with 5 bike lengths, comfortable at the moment, and the rest of the pack follow through line astern, although we have seen them go 2 by 2 through there already today, something we didn't think we would see at all.
Well, the Kawasaki of Chester Robinson made his way up into third place there early on, so he's one further up than his starting position, but Dean Hasler on that BMW S1000RR, a dominant force in this category. Early doors of this 8-lap race, but he's certainly asserting his authority.
Certainly is, as they make their way back onto the main straight here. Lowe, Robinson, Williams, 3rd, 4th and 5th. The incredible overhead shot from our drone pictured there trackside, of course. Hasler, Hatch, Robinson, Lowe, Williams, Berman, the top 6 at the moment.
A good run up the inside there by the number 60 of Ben Lowe. I think that was on Mark Hatch. Oh, forces him a little bit wide. I think he kept it on the black stuff. No harm, no foul, but certainly lost a lot of ground. So now up into second placing, it looks like it is Ben Lowe.
He actually has come unstuck.
Mechanical dramas by the looks of that.
So that's one out of the race, unfortunately. And as we said, mechanical, so that's even worse actually, because it's problems that you can't help. As we watch Hasler lead up through the Races.World Eastern Loop for the second time, under great pressure already from Hatch. Robinson doing a good job in 3rd spot.
Yeah, I think it might have been Williams that Lowe had pushed out, or maybe even Robinson. But anyway, it's Hasler and Hatch that are out in front. There's no doubt about that as they come down, streaming down the Hi-Tec Oils main straight. A fairly lonely position in 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th is doing quite well, and that is Berman and McGregor. They're battling it out, and so it is Hasler, Hatch, Lowe, Williams, Berman, McGregor, Galloway, Ward, Town, Jones, Appleby, Bergen and Fairley, and it was unfortunately Chester Robinson on board machine number 21, the Kawasaki ZX-10R that pulled off to the side on the outside of the carousel last lap around.
Fastest lap of the race so far for Hatch, 101.25. Already we're watching the battle between Berman and McGregor there. The 510 and the 88 making their way down into the the Hungary quarter section for Racetech, and then up into the Eastern Loop section of the circuit once more.
Yeah, Berman and McGregor added hammer and tong up the inside, tries to poke his nose. McGregor, no room there. Berman chopped it off with the racing line as our race leader comes down over the strike line to complete lap number 3. Hasler. Hatch is trying to draft him down Hi-Tec Oils for the entrance into Matrice Dampers. Wasn't able to continue on with it, unfortunately, and drops it back into a comfortable second placing.
He certainly does, and he has actually got, as you say, a comfortable second placing. 2.0 seconds between 2nd and 3rd at the moment in this race. It's Hasler, it's Hatch, it's Lowe, but it's Hatch with the fastest lap of the race again, Lance. 101.2509 as they make their way down bikehagel.com.au.
Entering down into Racetech, a very difficult section of the circuit, but if you get it right, you get a good run up into Races.World, the old Eastern Loop as it used to be known. Out of there, tentative on the throttle. You can't get onto the gas too early, otherwise you'll fall foul of the conditions like we saw in the Race Your Mates initial staging earlier on. Just looking there to see who that is. I couldn't quite pick his number up. As he goes through Races.World, our race leader goes down the end of Hi-Tec Oils and enters into Matrice Dampers. A run out of there, a slide uphill, then a bit of a downhill, then back uphill again through bikebiz.com.au into the AGV bus stop. Dean Hasler under siege now from Mark Hatch. Hatch is very close to him on the exit of the AGV bus stop. Gets a good run down bikehaggle.com.au. Can't quite get his nose up close enough to be a threat through Racetech. Out of Racetech, gets a good line, does Hatch. Through races.world, it'll be interesting to see if he can get the momentum down Dunlop Hill and onto the Hi-Tec Oils main straight.
It's all about the momentum and the run. You've got to get a good run out of 8, and it looks as though he's got that up on the outside. Here comes Hatch, tucks into the slipstream of Hasler now as they head down the main straight here at Lakeside Park. But again, that straight line speed of Hasler gives him the advantage. Hatch seems to catch up around the back section of the circuit to give himself a chance, but then when they get to the straight, Hasler easily pulls 1 and 2 bike lengths and maintains the lead here at Lakeside Park, although, as I said earlier, Hatch still maintains the fastest lap of the race, 0.3 of a second the margin. It looks a hell of a lot closer than that, but that's what the timekeepers are telling us at the moment as he tucks in behind it, going through the bus stop once more.
Here comes the ZX-10R Kawasaki of Hatch. A little bit more nimble and agile through the flippy floppy sections of the circuit as opposed to the horsepower advantage the BMW has. Oh, gone a little bit too wide, off the black stuff, onto the black stuff again. Oh man, a heart-stopping moment there for the Kawasaki of Mark Hatch. He's lost all of that momentum and ground that he gained and has certainly probably lost the race from there. He'll sit back comfortably. Let's have a look again at what happened there. He went a little bit too wide. Oh, he went too narrow. Yep. Too narrow on the entrance of Racetech. Hit the ripple strip, did a bit of motocrossing, went across the black stuff, onto the dirt, back onto the black stuff again. Very lucky to be able to keep that upright, Zach.
Absolutely. It's a hairy ride through there at the best of times, but more so when you're on the grass.
But certainly Ben Lowe, he can capitalise on that disadvantage or that mistake that was made by Mark Hutch 1 lap ago.
Possibly not, though, with only 1 lap to go. True. He has lost a little bit more space now between himself and Hatch. So, absolutely, if it had been towards the last lap, he would have sensed his chances. But no, Hatch has had a chance to try and redeem himself. No, he won't catch Hasler, but he will still be able to consolidate second position, you would think, going on from here, barring another mistake, of course. Hasler, Hatch, Lowe, up into bikebiz.com.au.
Well, they are on their last lap here, and you can see there the number 60 of Ben Lowe trying very hard to get up under the back of Hatch, but he's not going to be able to do it, I think. As you mentioned, not enough track time. It's only 2.41 kilometres around here. If it was a 6 kilometre like Bathurst, for example, then maybe he'd have an opportunity. Many more corners, many more opportunities, less opportunities here at Lakeside Park. In the meantime, though, all kudos to Dean Hasler again on his BMW 1000 S1000RR, doing a great job heading down through Dunlop onto the Hi-Tec Oils main straight. He'll greet the checkered flag. 2 from 2 for Dean Hasler. In second place, it will be Mark Hatch. 2 from 2 for him, and 2 for Ben Lowe in third place. So the same results as race 1, just a little bit different in distance. Dean Hasler ahead of Mark Hatch and Ben Lowe. Wayne Williams. Then we had McGregor, Berman, Simon Galloway, Ward, Appleby, Town, Di Jones finishing in P11. 12th was Bergen, Fairley in 13th, and Robinson did not finish, unfortunately, succumbing to mechanical dramas.
Yeah, no, that was good. I had to fight a bit there. I knew that he was close behind me, so yeah, I had to push. A bit harder than I like to, actually, so it's good fun.
As the third and final race for the Races World Formula Oz commenced, Hasler and Lowe got away to a fairly even start. Lowe attempted to move across and snatch the lead away from the BMW, but Hasler once again used the superior torque from his machine to take advantage of the race lead as they approached the Matrice Dampers carousel. Lowe fell in behind Hasler during the early stages of the race, with Williams closely following behind in third. As the front three broke away, the real battle for the race was happening in fourth place between Jonathan Ward, Roger Berman, Chester Robinson and Mark McGregor. Ward would complete the opening lap in fourth, but would drop way down to seventh by the end of lap 2 as Berman, McGregor and Robinson fought their way past. Robinson and McGregor eventually broke away from Berman and Ward and settled into their own battle for fourth place, which continued on for the rest of the race. But whilst that was happening, Hatch managed to catch Hasler on lap 3 and dive past him at Race's World Hungry Corner for the race lead. Hasler did his best to stay in touch with Hatch's Kawasaki, but with fading tyres he opted to play the conservative game and think of the championship with 1 round remaining. With Hasler backing off, Hatch went on to take a well-deserved win aboard his Kawasaki, and Hasler would finish in second, 11 seconds behind Hatch, with Williams finishing in third.
Yeah, awesome effort. I'd like to thank the team, Dean and that for riding so well. It's been a great weekend for me. I've got my young bloke here, his first ever race meeting, so it's good to show him how to win. It'll be good, it's really good.
And just like that, the third round of the Hi-Tec Oils Australian FX-Superbike Championship has been run and done. We hope you enjoyed all the action here at Lakeside Park and invite you to join us for the final round of the year at Sydney Motorsport Park on the weekend of November 24 and 25, where champions will be crowned.